This episode of Drag Race España shocked me. Hi, hello everyone, welcome in. My name is Jer and I'll see you in court. Today we are talking about Drag Race España Season 5, Episode 7. It is crazy to me that we are this far into the season and there are so many queens left. I love that this is a bigger season. Denabola is out this week and the internet was gagaronied and the room is kind of gagged too. I think that Denabola has some great artistry, but I think I was just seeing something different than what the general public was because I wasn't that shocked to see them go. And Laco Udia says that she was ready to do so last week when it came to the lip sync, showing off a wig reveal, costuming changes, and Marisa Prisa got a special shout out from Satine. Season 2 mentioned. This whole episode was littered with references to previous contestants. It made me so happy. I love that Drag Race España, more than any franchise across the globe, pays so much homage and refers to their past contestants again and again and again. Some of y'all know that I am currently watching Drag Race España Season 3 for my Drag Race podcast. We filmed those a couple of weeks out. I just watched the Snatch Game episode where Poopy Poison was there and my heart was so happy because I love that woman. Let's get back to this week where the room is absolutely slimming down. Alexandra is feeling a little bit lost in the sauce. She's not understanding why the judges are connecting with some contestants and not with her because she works in Barcelona 6 days a week. And that work ethic should be translating to what she's doing on Drag Race, but it's not. She feels like the girls in the room are not that concerned with her. And I just want to knock on the door of reality check. Not that she's watching these reviews or anything, but for anyone that plans on going on Drag Race, you're in a pressure cooker situation. Everybody is trying to just get through it while not dying along the way. Some girls have the mental fortitude to do personal check-ins with others in the competition and make sure that they're okay. Someone like Satine, who has a long body of work outside of the show, has probably done numerous pageants and competitions and the like, and doesn't really need Drag Race to launch her to the next level of her career. She's unbothered by the competition, and so she can just be present and be their friend and be mom. And I just don't think it's anybody's responsibility to go and coddle anyone and make sure they're doing okay. It's kind and polite if you do. That will get you congeniality. But in a competition, you gotta focus on you. And Nick says that quiet part out loud, and there's muttering through the rest of the episode about how people are feeling about Alexandra. And they are not impressed that she works 6 days a week in Barcelona. Supreme then comes in and asks the girls if they're hungry and brings in the most delicious looking man. I was hungry for him. The España pit crew makes me so thirsty. And I, for one, am not participating in NNN. They have to eat some watermelon off a stick. On that stick is the name of a queen, whether that be themselves or someone else. And this is basically the solution to the puppet challenge, which has been long retired from across the Drag Race franchises. I still don't understand why they don't do it anywhere anymore. But I'm only about halfway through España 3 and I've never watched 4. So maybe they keep the puppet tradition up in Spain. But this seemed like this season's solution to it. They have to put the iconic style and makeup of the queen they received on their watermelon. And if they got themselves, they could still do a sickening version of them. There were two standouts for me, and that was Alexandra doing Ferran, which pressed Ferran into a little panini. She looked kind of steamed. But Nyx was my favorite because she had this whole voice for Laco Udia, and I really enjoyed the styling that she chose going for week 1. It was very classic Aldia, and for me, I think she was the only one who tried to do an actual presentation. I think she understood the theme of this mini challenge and leaned into it well. And then the Maxi is a bit of a mess. They have to do an improv scene where they are realtors trying to sell an apartment to some peculiar tenants. And each of these apartments have their own hijinks and hilarity that are built into them. I want to say the base thought of this challenge was solid. Be a realtor. Sell an apartment. That's a great idea. Do it in improv style so you get to show your personality and your ability to create a character and an impersonation. Also brilliant. Have this crazy setup where bad things are happening, whether that be one is infested with bugs, another one has a clear money laundering scheme going on, and then the other one is just falling apart at every turn. There are so many great ideas baked into the dough of this challenge. The problem is how it rose. I think duo improv challenges are a chop. I don't want to see it in Bitchler. I don't want to see it here. I don't want to see duo improv challenges unless it is semi-scripted. I think this challenge could have been interesting if one part of the duo was the realtor and the other one was the one trying to buy the apartment. Then you can kind of play off of each other. The problem with a duo improv challenge like this is that you need to sell your character and sell the product, but also you have to work in a scene with multiple others who have their idea of how they want to pitch what they're doing. And that could be really messy without lots and lots of practice, and we know Drag Race doesn't give them days of practice. They get a couple hours at most. Nyx, as the winner of the mini challenge, gets to assign the teams. One can be 3 and the other 2 have to be 2. For me, I was very confused why she wasn't more strategic. She pairs herself with Margarita, who she later complains isn't very good at listening to others, and with Ferran, who also has not been standing out in the most positive way. There are 2 very clear and obvious people I would have chosen, just based off of how they played in the Snatch Game. That would either be Caldia because they have a super strong sense of who they are, they've got a great sense of humor, and they are a little more of a reserved character. So while Caldia and Nyx may not have had the most dynamic, bombastic energy, I think they would have been funny enough. I also would have been eyeing Satine because she is the clear front runner of the competition and has a lot of ideas and work background. If she was already feeling weird about Margarita, I don't know why she chose to work with her and why she gave herself the extra challenge of being in a group of 3. Perhaps she thought that if she had 2 others there, she would be good enough because she's good at improv and acting, and whoever the other 2 would sort of land in a lower placement. I don't know if that was the thought process, but I think that the strategizing of pairing was not done very well. So we get to see the first team, which includes Poopy Poison, my favorite queen from her season. She is a Srimala archetype, she is a lunatic. I love Poopy Poison, and she looked good. Satine low-key looked like Lisa Rinna. I think she held the scene together well, and she was very funny. I do think maybe she could have let that air breathe a little bit just to give some room for Alexandra to flounder her way back into the scene. I think the biggest problem working with Satine is that she is a steamroller in any challenge. She's gonna just keep it moving and do excellently at it, so I don't know who would do well with her, unless you're super able to keep up. Like, imagine her and Margarita together, they would have been dynamite. And the runway category is Spanish playing cards, where Satine is the ace of coins. I enjoyed the big sculpted hair. I thought that was a great compliment with the sleekness of the look. Those coins on the white corset were visually striking, and I loved that cascade of cards in the back. It didn't all look too bulky. It had the right amount of volume. Satine just knows how to work it. I wasn't crazy about the coat that first came out, but I understand that it was probably there to reveal what was underneath it. Very lip sync loofah coated. Alexandra in the scene, I really hated the look. I don't understand the beard at all. It was there to be visibly funny without having any type of acting skills to back it up. What is that thing that Michelle said once to Jinx Monsoon? Being crazy doesn't give you a pass to look crazy. I think Alexandra was doing way too much. I just think that the panicking character, that person that is just frazzled too much, is not funny to watch in improv. And I don't think that she kept up with Hurricane Satine. On the runway, she is the Queen of Hearts. And I really liked this take on it because we've seen 1,000,001 of the red Queen of Hearts. We don't often see another color palette, so I really enjoyed this olive color. The shape was striking. I loved that textile that was used to create this garment. It was kind of mystical. And then I loved the presentation of that card gun. This was oddly avant-garde for her. I appreciate seeing more layers to Alexandra, as I'm sure the people in Barcelona 6 nights a week get to experience. I feel like that could be a Delta Work intro. Are you performing 6 nights a week like me? Group 2 is a fucking mess. They are paired with Ornella Gongora from season 3, which I just watched. That Snatch Game. Ornella is crazy and I would be intimidated to work with her, but she looked puss. Nyx, I enjoyed that weird voice she was doing. I think she normally thrives in these types of environments, so it was weird to see her kind of buckle comedically. I think what she did was smart by retreating towards the corner to fall into that love seat. But beyond that, I don't really remember a lot of what Nyx did. She was kind of just meandering through the set, trying to find somewhere to position and bunker down. And I felt like her energy was coming off confusified. But then on the runway, I can only assume she was doing 3 of swords because of the swords in her back. At first, I really wasn't digging the look. I kind of did the Nina Garcia. What am I looking at right now? I think a square neckline is kind of hard to pull off, but Nyx managed to make it work. And the more that it walked, the more I liked it. I liked that it looked like cardboard. There was something very fun and whimsical about that. The color choice was graphic. I loved that it looked hand painted. I think that added to the whimsy and it made it special. And then when she turned around and there were those 3 swords buried into her back, that was a surprising detail. I think the look overall elevated her to a safe place. Margarita in the skit I thought was very funny. I think Margarita is just a funny person. I loved her voice. I loved her characterization. I loved the way that she was scurrying around that set like a little mouse. The way that she was reacting to things. She had great physical comedy, and that's something I've always noticed about her. My favorite Margarita moment from this whole season was when she was sitting down in that character in the acting challenge and she was throating that cross and then licked it. She's just very smart about her choices. And I think what she brings to the table is nuance. That being said, I did not like her look this week. I thought it was maybe the weakest of her entire package. I like the colors of it. It looked like it came straight out of a tarot deck. Like if you were to look on the tarot website right now, you would see those exact colors. I think the problem is that it just lacked impressiveness and it needed something to bring it to the next level, just something to give it that extra punch. And I don't think that toy horse was enough to carry it. And so overall, I think that dragged her into a safer position rather than in a high one, because if she knocked it out in the runway, I think it's possible she could have won this over Satine. I really liked her character a lot. And sadly, we have to talk about Ferran, who looked super lost in the skit. I felt bad. The posture was giving, I don't know where to go or where to stand or how I'm supposed to play this. She didn't know how to muscle her way in. She didn't know how to interact with the others or Hornella. And I'm also just not a fan of aggro characters when they're like mad and ready to like beat somebody up. It has no levels and it's really hard to follow for me as an audience member. And it's even harder when you are someone in a scene with someone who's trying to be aggro. You can't keep up with them because there's nothing to keep up with. They're giving quite literally nothing to the scene. However, on the runway, another knockout from Ferran. I loved this Jack look. The color saturation of that emerald green cape on the flip side of that cherry red literally looked like a playing card. I love the design of that print she chose. That blue on that white was so luxe and tasty. I wanted to look at it all night long. It was so interesting. And I think this is some of the best they've looked all season. And then group 3 was also a bit of a mess. They were playing sluts like they were a part of Scary Movie or something. And they got Shani, who I don't know. I'm assuming from season 4, but I haven't watched that yet. We'll start with Laka, who I will say, and I've said it again and again for many weeks now, I hate those Jimbo boobs. I will be mad at her forever, specifically for introducing this into the pool of drag. I don't know why they bother me so much. I just don't like them. I thought Caldia was decently funny. I thought her presence was good in the skit and she tried to do her best to meander around and try and sell the apartment, but Daphne was like a dead fish. And on the runway, Caldia is a jack of coins. It was fairly simple. I didn't care much for it. It was a little bit like Jester Pinocchio almost, which I don't think is good. It was a clean look, which I always appreciate, but this look wasn't going anywhere. I did love the Hornella coin though. That made me very happy because like I said, I just watched that Snatch Game, so I am intimately familiar with that character right now. I did like that big plume of feathers on the top of the hat. That was fun. Otherwise, I just don't think it was pushing it enough. It had the same problem that Margarita had, except I think Caldia's was worse and it dragged her definitely very low. Do I think that she was bottom 3? Absolutely not. But I have a conspiracy theory about that. We'll put on our tinfoil hats in a minute. And then last is Daphne Mugler, who was the definition of go on girl, give us nothing. I liked the idea of the smudge lipstick, but why was she giving head before selling an apartment? Why were they two bimbos who were selling apartments? Like, what was the whole story? I didn't get any of it. And I thought Daphne looked significantly out of place with Chaldea. Like, she was afraid to look stupid, so she was like, okay, I'll smudge my lipstick and call it a day. She was boring, she was flat, she had no levels, she was there. And then on the runway, the look was giving, I already owned this. And I don't think there's a problem with that if you can make it work on Drag Race. We've seen it from veterans many times that they owned something and just brought it there and it worked. But I don't think this fulfilled the elements of the challenge, which was Spanish playing cards. It didn't look tarot to me. I can only assume it was meant to be one of the sword cards, but I couldn't tell if it was 1 or 7 or less than. I had no idea. The backpack wasn't that impressive to me. I think it was just big, and I think that if you do something that is in a metallic color like silver, that's not enough of a distraction for me to go, oh my god, that's brilliant. In my opinion, Daphne was once again bottom 3 eligible. I think the only reason, and we're gonna put our tinfoil hats on, I think the only reason why she was safe is because the heart piece went to Chaldea, and I think they wanted a guarantee that someone that they wanted to go home was going to. But even then, I see no reason why it wouldn't have paired out the same way. Chaldea worked with Daphne. In what world is she not going to save her? It's possible she might save Ferran. And then what, Alexandra sends home Daphne? I don't think that would happen, but I guess maybe that's a possibility that she wouldn't save her teammate. Overall, this challenge was a nice idea, if not badly executed. The winner is immediately called as Satine. She is racking up these wins. Again, I think it could have been Margarita had she had a stronger runway, and I feel like the path is very, very clear for Satine to win. I see it for almost nobody else at this point. Nyx, Margarita, and Daphne are then called safe, which I was gagged by. They seemed to like Chaldea more in the challenge. Maybe not on the runway, but they liked her in the challenge. They did not seem to like Daphne, but they have a raging bone for her, and I see her going nowhere until maybe like top 5. Maybe even next week could be her downfall, but even then I think they'll find a way to save her. Then Ebola leaves her heart piece with Chaldea, she saves herself, and then we get Alexandra and Ferran lip syncing together. At first, I thought Alexandra was cooked. The translation of the song seemed to fit more in line with things that Ferran did, especially considering her week 1 talent show kind of seemed in line with this. So I thought, oh, she's gonna cook here. I was gagged, because the judges don't seem to like Miss 6 days a week working in Barcelona, Alexandra de Raval. They seem to be bored by her every week, and yet they kept her, even though I think there was justifiable reason why Ferran could have stayed. In my opinion, in that lip sync, Ferran was doing the smart thing, noticing that Alexandra was doing way too much, looked a little desperate to stay, kind of slowed down her performance, and just kind of chewed up the stage. I thought that was a great route to take with this song, where to me, Alexandra was doing way too much. However, Ferran flossed on the runway, and I think that's an automatic elimination anytime someone does it. So it's hard because I want to compromise my values and say, this time I will give a pass for someone flossing. And while I thought that Ferran's time was definitely coming, and I think that she's been here a little longer than maybe she should have, it seems like they were tired of Alexandra. It seems like they're bored with her. I don't know why they kept her. Maybe they're going to use her to get rid of someone else next week. Maybe they want to keep her around for the tension. And it is announced that next week is the last one that a heart piece will go out. So Ferran could play super strategically and give her heart piece to the one person who doesn't have it anymore, and that's Chaldea. So then it's up to the jury to pick. However, I see her maybe giving it to a friend in the competition, maybe even giving it to Satine one last time and let her make the best decision for the group. But that challenge that's coming up is a roast, and I wrote in all caps, oh no. I feel like Satine's gonna be fine. I feel like Chaldea will be fine. Margarita will be great. If I remember right, Nyx started the season with a mini roast, and it wasn't funny. And if you saw my short recently, I am big rooting for Nyx to go to the end because she's giving me like a Dor Delano Jinx vibe, someone who's just really plugged in and present and great with presentation but not great with aesthetics, and is slowly trying to grow those aesthetics. But I worry that she might be out. I'm also not feeling great about whatever it is that Daphne is going to do. I think she's not been performing well through many challenges, and they keep pushing her through. So if it goes to the jury needing to save a bottom 3, I feel like they'll save Daphne, and either it's going to be Alexandra or Nyx out next. It's going to be devastating if they keep Alexandra again. We'll see what happens next week. Let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below, and I will see y'all on the flip.